President Biden postponed signing executive orders on immigration today, but CBS News has learned he'll resume action on that sometime next week. Top White House officials say the president is planning to take a number of executive actions, including rescinding a Trump-era proclamation that suspended certain immigrant and work visas during the coronavirus pandemic. Those restrictions are set to expire on March 31st. Mr. Trump claimed the move was necessary to protect American workers during the COVID-induced economic crisis. Joining us is CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. So, Camilo, what executive orders do we expect from the president when it comes to immigration next week?
Good morning, Vlad. President Biden is expected to once again invoke his executive authority to issue several orders on immigration in the coming days. One of those orders, Vlad, is expected to address the processing of migrants and asylum seekers along the U.S.-Mexico border. It is expected that that order will rescind several Trump-era rules that narrowed asylum eligibility and will also overturn several programs that required asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their U.S. court hearings and to seek refuge in third countries in Central America instead of having a chance to apply for asylum here in the U.S. Another order will mandate a review of several restrictions that Mr. Trump implemented to the U.S. legal immigration system, including the public charge rules. A third order will create a task force to locate and reunite families who remain separated after their separation during the Trump administration's zero tolerance policy. And a fourth order is also expected to help the Biden administration fulfill the president's campaign pledge of ramping up refugee admissions. As you might remember, Vlad, Mr. Trump dramatically slashed refugee admissions to a record low, allocating only 15,000 slots last year when President Obama, in his last year in office, allocated 110,000 slots during his last year in office.
What about the order to rescind the Trump administration's suspension of certain immigrant and work visas? The whole idea was that, he was going to be protecting the American workforce by not getting outside workers coming in. What sort of work visas are we talking about? And, when could when could this be lifted so people can come here and work as, they have applied to do?
Yeah, that's right, Emery. This policy has not received the same attention as other policies, including policies along the U.S.-Mexico border, but it was a sweeping restriction that Mr. Trump implemented on legal immigration during the pandemic. As you mentioned, he cited the economic recession caused by the public health crisis that we're currently fighting against, and he suspended not only immigrant visas for those who are looking to move here through petitions filed by their U.S. family members or employers, but also work visas like the H-1B program, and also the diversity visa lottery, which allows people from underrepresented countries to move here to the U.S. It's a program that Mr. Trump has widely criticized throughout his tenure. And so now we know that a White House official said that Mr. Biden intends to rescind these restrictions, but I think it's still going to be important for us to keep tabs on what sort of reasons the Biden administration cites for lifting these restrictions, because again, they were enacted on economic grounds, and obviously we still have a lot of economic impact that the pandemic is having on the economy, and we have a lot of U.S. workers unemployed.
The president and his advisors did not address or commit to revoking the policy during their time on the campaign trail or during the transition period. So why are they looking into it now as one of the top priorities on immigration?
Well, they face a lot of pressure from advocacy groups and lawyers who have been actually suing the Trump administration, now the Biden administration, over these restrictions because they argue that they have separated family members who are looking to move here. They've separated children of green card holders, for example, who want to reunite with family members here, and who they argue will not pose a labor market risk to the U.S. because they're children and they're not coming here to work. They're also arguing that even though the unemployment rate is still pretty high, the economy rather has recovered somewhat, and that there are still certain sectors in the economy that need foreign labor. And so those are the arguments. But again, I still think the Biden administration will prompt some pushback from Republicans in other sectors if they lift these restrictions.
So President Biden did campaign on a promise to establish a task force on the first day as president to reunite families separated at the border. Establishing a task force is good, but getting these families reunited, I think, is better. Do we know anything more about this task force? Has it been unveiled? I do believe that Dr. Jill Biden said that she will be taking an active role when it comes to this issue. But the real question is, when will things start to get done?
Right. So we expect this government task force to be an interagency initiative involving the Department of State, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of Health and Human Services, which is the agency that houses unaccompanied migrant children. Obviously, the main task is to locate and reunite the families who remain separated after the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy. Lawyers have found hundreds of families who were separated during that period, but still have not been able to locate more than 600 parents, and many of them are believed to have been deported without their children to Central America. So that is going to be a very big question. How is the U.S. government going to help these advocacy groups find these parents in Central America? And another big question, Vlad and Emery, is will the Biden administration allow those parents to come here to reunite with their children here on U.S. soil, or will they force them to have their kids be brought back to them in Central America, or allow them to stay here with other family members?
A federal judge temporarily blocked the president's 100-day deportation ban after Texas attorney generals sued the administration. So what kind of pushback do we expect for the upcoming orders, Camilo?
Well, I think, Vlad, this is a preview of what's to come when it comes to Mr. Biden's immigration policy. I think we can expect a lot of lawsuits from Republican-led states like Texas and Arizona and others who will challenge these policies in court. And they are all citing this agreement that they brokered with the Trump administration, which purports to require the Department of Homeland Security to give these states and jurisdictions prior notice before implementing most changes to immigration policy. So the Biden administration says those agreements do not have any enforcement mechanism and that they're not valid, but these states disagree. And so I think we can expect this to continue. And as we saw, Texas was already successful in temporarily getting this 100-day moratorium on deportation blocked for at least 14 days. So we will see how this continues in the coming weeks.
Camilo, thank you so much. You pretty much covered everything. Thank you so much.
That's a lot.